my latest video, other than this one, focused on the North Carolina Comic Con, of course, of this year, 2017. And it was held in Raleigh, North Carolina. I actually went to it last year. I was kind of confused at first because last year was called the Oak City Comic Con. And, excuse me, this year, that was more like a subtitle. Like I still saw the name Oak City, but they basically called it the NC Comic Con. But regardless, yeah, I made sure I went to it. I almost ended up missing it because I wasn't sure about the date on it, and somebody gave me some misinformation, which was kind of messed up. But yeah, I did do the research myself and checked it out and saw that it was, this past weekend, and really glad that I made it out there. Even though in some ways it was disappointing, some ways it was very cool. So that's why I want to do this follow-up video to my Comic Con video. And if you haven't watched that first video, please check it out. I definitely put a lot of time and effort into it. So yeah, the main thing I want to talk about from the Comic Con, and the first and foremost thing is DMC.
My style, I think it's very vital to rock around, that's right on time, as tricky as the title. Here we go. It's tricky to rock around, that's right on time, it's tricky. It's tricky, it's tricky to rock around, that's right on time, it's tricky. It's tricky, oh.
I was going around the floor checking everything out, and then the announcer came on and said DMC is in the building, making his way to his booth or whatever. And I really didn't know where his booth was going to be, so I just started circulating, and just making sure I was moving around. And I kind of got sidetracked. I was checking out this booth that has some pop figures, some Funko Pops, which I will talk about that later on. And he came in and he had his guys with him, his security and everything, but immediately he's connecting with the fans. He's taking pictures with people that ask, and especially if there was a kid that wanted a picture with him, like the parent wanted to take a picture, with the kid and everything. I mean, he was so cool about it. He did have security with him, but some celebrities, they have handlers, the people that kind of usher them along and everything. It really wasn't like that with the people that he had. It really was more like they were with him, instead of kind of moving him along. So that was cool to see. And yeah, he made his way to his booth, and I went ahead and got in line. And I honestly didn't know what I was going to say or what I was going to do when I got up front. He did have some prints of the covers, well, really posters of his comic book covers that he could sign for you, or you could get the actual comic. In the first issue of his comic, he actually had two different sizes of it. There was the regular, standard size comic, and then there was like a deluxe size edition. And once I got up front, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go with the deluxe size. So that is what I did. And here's the first issue of his comic, which is just called DMC, still in the plastic. And the funny thing is that I know I'm gonna end up buying another copy of this because I don't even want to take this one out of the plastic. He did sign this one, and he asked if I wanted my name signed on it, and I wasn't really worried about that. I just wanted it signed. I was just happy to get it signed. So I said, nah, just go ahead and sign it. And he said, he wrote here, DMC, Walk This Way, which of course is one of Run DMC's biggest records ever. And then JMJRIP, which if you know hip hop, then you know what that means. Jam Master Jay, who was the DJ for Run DMC, he did pass away. Actually, very, very tragic way that he died. I won't even get all into that, but yeah, it was really cool of him to sign this. And like I said, I went with the deluxe size here, and this is the ultimate keepsake for me from the con. Really, it's the only thing I bought there because I might as well address this quickly before I move on. The prices were ridiculous. And I know a lot of you watching this, you're like me, you're pop collectors, Funko Pop collectors, but yeah, the prices were absurd, and I didn't see a lot of people purchasing pops, and I didn't feel bad for the vendors because I'm like, you did it to yourselves. I don't think they realized that, Funko Pop collectors, a lot of us, we do our research and everything. We understand values. You can't just easily take advantage of us. Now, there might be some people new to the pop game that don't know better, but people that have been at it for a couple months at least, they know better. So like I said, I just couldn't really feel bad for the vendors because the prices were ridiculous for the most part. Now, there were some vendors that had good deals, but even with them, the selection wasn't always that great. So I didn't really worry about collectibles, and that's something I learned. I mean, even last year, it was tough to find good pops. I did manage to come back home with four, and but that, like I said, it was tough. I mean, there were a lot more pops this year, but yeah, overall, I've just kind of learned that go to the con, enjoy the con. Don't really feel like you have to spend money though, as far as collectibles are concerned, because some of the deals are not really deals. But getting back to DMC, I did check out a panel that he did, which was called Black Heroes Matter, and that was very interesting. And you'll see clips from that within this video. And yeah, he has some great things to say. I like the way he introduced himself.
Hey y'all, my name is Daryl McDaniels. People know me as DMC from Run DMC. The reason why I'm here, 3 years ago, I put out a graphic novel comic book and started my own company called Daryl Makes Comics. And people were like, why you want to get into comics now? Before hip hop came over the bridge from the Bronx, to change my life, I was a Catholic school kid that was always on the honor roll, got straight A's, 5 and 6 stars on the forehead, and all I did was read and draw comics. I had to put down my drawing pen and my sketch pad when hip hop came over the bridge to Queens, and I picked up my black and white notebook and started writing rhymes. But a lot of what I did in my music was influenced by the inspiration and creativity and the art that was given to me from comic books. That's why, to this day, I'm known as the King of Rock. That all came possible because of comic books. And 3 years ago, I went to have a music meeting with a young man named Riggs Morales, who was Eminem's right-hand man at Shady Records. And Eminem, by the way, is like all of us in this room, because he knows geeks and nerds rule. So Eminem's a big comic book head. But I met this guy, Riggs Morales, at a music meeting, and he basically said, yo, I'm usually very professional, and I never geek out. And he used these words, but DMC, you was like my superhero, man, the way you looked at me, this, that, and this, that. And he just asked me one question, what was it like when you was a kid? And just like I told you, I was like, well, I went to Catholic school, and all I did was read and draw comic books. And when I said the word comic books, this executive, very professional executive, Rick Morales, went, and he started to glow, and the heavens opened up, and we sat there for 3 hours, and we talked about comic books, and he saw that, yo, this guy DMC. My first love is comic books. Hip hop, I didn't really care about it, which is big because everybody else liked it, and I could do it. So he said, D, you should do a comic book, and I said no. And he said, why? And I said, because I didn't want to be another rapper just because I have a hit record thinking I could do everything. And he looked at me and said, that's very humble, but he said, don't do the comic book as DMC, the celebrity. Do it as little boy, do it as the little boy Daryl, whose first love is comic books. So here I am, living my dream because my comic book gets me in all the Comic Cons.
He definitely talked about hip hop a lot, but I mean, he's a legend in the game, so that's very understandable. And he drew a lot of parallels between hip hop and comics, in a lot of ways that I never would have thought of. So that was very cool as well. And we threw a couple of questions at him because the panel was very relaxed. It wasn't a typical panel where the panelists just run their mouths and then there's questions at the end. It was really more of like a town hall meeting almost, and I really liked that format that they went with. And I remember the last question, which I'll definitely share his response because I thought that was awesome. Somebody asked him what song would he put along with a comic character. And yeah, I really did like his response there.
Just recently, about 2 months ago, I recorded a song for my new record with Chuck D, a Public Enemy. And the record is about being empowering yourself, not being afraid, fighting the power, being, going against adversity. The chorus is Chuck D's voice on his record from Rebel Without a Pause, where he goes, coming like a rhino. So, to answer your question, it would be the rhino, because I just did a song with Chuck D. The backing band is a punk metal band called Slaves on Dope out of Montreal. And one of my lyrics is, you can search all you want to, but you will never find no weakness or softness. I'm coming like a rhino. Me and Chuck D, we're in the hard rhyme zone. Add SOD, and you will get your mind blown. So it's the rhino.
He did do another panel that was a one-on, well, not a one-on-one, but I mean, it was like him being interviewed and just answering questions. But I didn't make it to that one. That one was later in the day, and I was so excited about going to the con that I didn't sleep as much as I should have. So that's why I didn't stick around to the very end. And then there were other reasons why I decided to leave as well. I went on Saturday, and I knew it up front, but it still kind of disappointed me. I knew that the cosplay wasn't going to be at the highest level that day, just because they do the contest on Sunday afternoon. That's when they have the actual cosplay. So I knew cosplay contest, excuse me. So I knew that a lot of people would wait and go on Sunday. So I mean, there were still some cool cosplayers, and you see that in the video that I did. I mean, there were some that were impressive, I thought, and I saved a couple of my favorites for towards the end of the video, which I won't even ruin that. I'm not going to say it just in case you haven't watched that yet. Please do watch it. But yeah, I wish there were more cosplayers out there. That would have been cool. But like I said, I knew because of the contest, people would wait. As far as art goes, I knew up front I wasn't going to buy art. I still have art here that I haven't put on my walls yet. I got to get around to that. So I wasn't worried about buying art, even though I did see some very cool art out there. There's one artist I met last year. I won't say his name just because his work is very impressive, very unique. And I almost bought his prints. He had good prices on his prints, but then I looked at the prints and they were just not up to par. They were not good quality. So, I do feel for artists. I'm sure that's a really tough way to make a living, especially if you're trying to do it full time. But I feel at the same time they got to bring the quality. Otherwise, it's not the money. It's not worth the money, even if it is low cost. So, yeah, like I said, I feel for the artists, but they gotta bring that quality too. So, yeah, overall though, the con was definitely worth it. I mean, just to actually meet DMC, and I actually got to speak to him face to face twice. Once when I was at his booth, and then as the panel was wrapping up, which was very cool that he actually stuck around and he interacted with people some one-on-one. And he had mentioned Notorious B.I.G. during the panel. In fact, he brought up Biggie more than one time, which I thought was very cool. And so I just, as he was coming off the stage, I did speak to him about Biggie for a second. I was like, I'm really glad that he actually talked about one of my personal heroes. I thought that was cool. So, yeah, overall, the con was very much worth it, like I said, just for the sake of meeting him and getting this keepsake. And I do look forward to going to more conventions in the future. I want to be better prepared next time, because something else that I learned from the con, excuse me, I'm getting a little bit stuffy here, but something else that I learned is that I do want to be better prepared in the future. If I'm going to stick with YouTube, for the foreseeable future, I definitely need to step my game up. I do want to get a dedicated camera, because my cell phone did give me some trouble, definitely. So, yeah, that's something else I learned. I want to step it up on the technical side, and I want to keep improving my editing, music choices, and everything, because I think, as your channel grows, you kind of owe that to your subscribers. That's the way I feel about it. Even if I gotta, raise some money I was even thinking about maybe, I don't know, I have to be very picky, but maybe even selling some pops to be able to get myself a camera, because I just don't have like a lot of money laying around, and I do want a quality camera. Maybe that's something I will have to do, but I feel like I kind of owe it, like I said, to you all, to anybody that watches my videos. I do want to step up my quality. So, yeah, that's something else that I've been thinking about. I do want to leave on this final note here, leave it with this final note. Something else that I learned, especially from that panel that I went to, Black Heroes Matter, is that I felt this way for a while, and this just reinforced it, that I really feel like nothing brings people together more than nerd culture, basically, whether it be, video games or comics or, just whatever it is. I think it really has something special about it where race doesn't matter as much. I mean, it still matters some, obviously, but it's just so good at bringing people together. As a matter of fact, when I was waiting in line to meet DMC, there's an older white guy next to me, and he was like a little kid. Like, he was just so giddy about, getting to meet DMC, and we were talking, and he had brought an album with him, which is something I had thought to do, but it was too last minute. And yeah, it was just very cool. It's like it really breaks down those barriers, and I love that about nerd culture. So and that's something I like about conventions as well. It's just people from all different backgrounds, and it doesn't matter. Like, everybody's just into their fandom. So that is definitely a beautiful thing. That's something I like about conventions, and one of the reasons why I will try to attend more conventions in the future. And of course, you'll see that on my channel. But yeah, thank you all for taking the time to check out this follow-up video to the convention. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the other video as well. And I'll talk to you all again real soon.